All right. So I have this after show that is only viewed on YouTube, and it's based. Did you ever watch Inside the Actors Studio?
I know what you're talking about. I'm not sure I've ever seen like a full episode, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay. So at the end, the host would ask all of his guests the same 10 questions I think he had based on the pivot questionnaire, which came from a French show, which I'm not going to go into all that, but I've taken inspiration from that and created an 11 question, I think, questionnaire that is pet related. And I want to ask you these questions.
All right.
Which I already, usually when I ask my guests this, and I ask all my guests this, I already know the answer to their first question, and you are no exception. What is your favorite breed?
Labradors, specifically the chocolate variety.
Okay, so one of my recent guests, Dale Ward, who wrote the book on raising the worst dog ever, literally, she wrote a book called Raising the Worst Dog Ever. She said in the after show that chocolate labs are usually, and this is like a generalization, the craziest of all the color labs. Is that something you've heard too?
I have heard that. I don't think it's true. I think that every dog has their own personality, and there might be crazy chocolates. I'm sure there are, but there's probably crazy yellow labs, crazy black labs. God knows there's really crazy charcoal labs.
So the dog that she wrote the book on was a yellow lab. So I agree with you. It just depends on the dog. What is your least favorite breed?
Ooh, I think, I don't want to offend anyone, but I'm not super into little dogs. And it's just because they seem so fragile to me. And having Labradors, they're built like Ford tough. And so little dogs, I feel like my lifestyle, they'd break a bone.
I agree. I've actually said that too about my best friend loves her Yorkie. She has a Yorkie. His name's Sammy, and he's wonderful, but he's like that big. And with kids, like that would be a nightmare. Like they would like treat him like they do all their toys. They're so destructive. So yeah, yes. I agree. Small dogs for me right now are not the thing, but once my kids are older, I think I do want a small dog because I'm kind of done with the big dog and traveling is harder and da-da-da. So, and the reason I asked this question is for that reason. Like everybody in a different stage of life is going to say a different dog, and it's okay to have a least favorite breed. Like if it's slobbery because you don't like slobber, if it's little because you prefer big, rambunctious, athletic dogs. And if it's too big, it's because you don't really want to share the couch, whatever the reason may be.
Well, and that's why there are so many different dogs out there. There's something for everyone.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Do your dogs sleep in your bed?
Yes, they do, but they did not used to. That is a pandemic thing that I got a little bit lax with the rules, and I let them sleep in the bed.
I don't blame you. I mean, we were all stuck together and it was kind of a mellow time. I get it. You probably really enjoyed those cuddles.
Well, and there's no going back now.
Oh, pandemic lasted too long. If it had lasted the 6 weeks or whatever that we had been promised, then maybe you could have gone back, but it's too late now. Right. Who or what wakes you up in the morning?
My alarm wakes me up usually because I get up at like sometimes 5:15 in the morning. So my alarm does that.
To work out?
Yeah.
Good girl. I always have utmost respect for people who can I can wake up early to pack. I can wake up early to clean. I can wake up early to walk my dogs. I can wake up early for a lot because my kids wake me up. I cannot wake up early to work out. I just
started this summer, and I gotta say I like it for a couple of reasons, which are kind of stupid reasons, but there's no traffic, so you can get to the gym and back home really fast. A lot of the traffic lights are blinking at that hour, so you don't even have to stop. And you can also park on the street right in front of the gym because the meters aren't in effect till like 8 a.m. So they're kind of weird reasons, but now I'm sold on it.
You're speaking like a true city dweller, right?
Yes.
In my area, that none of those things are really that big of a deal because I'm super suburban over here. And luckily, El Paso does not have terrible traffic like some suburbs do. All right. So what is your most used training command or cue with your pair of pups?
So our most frequent cue is look, and that is for them to look me in the eyes. And we use that all the time. I mean, whether we're walking around and I want them to look at me so that they don't look at the dog across the street, Or if we're just at home and I want them to look at me before they go eat their dinner, that's what we use the most. And there's all kinds of awesome research about eye contact and just the benefits, and it gives you endorphins. I know we were talking about endorphins when we talked earlier about Elle Woods, but it does give you endorphins.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, I do that with my 4-year-olds. Like, you know, kids are so overstimulated and like there's so much going on here. I have dogs barking at the little one and the bigger one. And so I say, look at me, look at me, look at me. And then he's like, oh, hey, what's up? Right. And if I don't say, look at me, I'm competing with whatever it is he is looking at. Yes. So I love look. What is your least used training command or cue? It could be something that you just refuse to use or something you wish you used more.
So this is like a trick, I guess, that we've been working on forever. And hold is something like getting them to hold something in their mouth is the hardest thing. I mean, we don't do like very advanced tricks, but it is so hard that I've almost pretty much given up on it.
So hold this so that I can take a picture of you to post on Instagram.
Yes. Yeah. They're like, I am not going to be used in this way. They refuse to do it. So
talk to my people. Let's get something in writing first. That's awesome. I love that. What pet related noise do you love?
Like that they make?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When sometimes like when they're just kind of hanging out on the couch, they'll roll on their backs and they're kind of like rub their back of their head and their nose like against the couch or the bed or the floor or whatever, and they kind of snort and just like roll around, and you just feels like they're like getting all the cobwebs out, and I just like that.
That's awesome. What pet related noise do you hate?
Lucy's bark. She has the loudest bark. It drives me insane.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I interviewed somebody else. I talk about my guests a lot, but I interviewed somebody who is an expert in golden retrievers, and apparently golden retrievers have the loudest bark ever recorded. And it must be a retriever thing. Like
I will put Lucy in that competition, because we've talked about this at the dog park with our friends. Like if we could get like a decibel tester, she's the loudest.
That is so funny. Yeah. So in the Guinness Book of World Records, the loudest dog bark is a golden retriever. It must be a retriever thing. And it's probably like for hunting, like what they were bred for. That's kind of really interesting, but it's not great, you know, in your house.
No.
What pet related profession, other than what all the things you already do in the pet industry, would you be willing to try?
Okay, like dream scenario, this would require a lot of training. So like if I were just to wake up one day and be this, that would be awesome, is a creative groomer. The people who do like, they'll groom, they'll like make a sculpture and they do colors. And I went to Super Zoo, the big pet trade show in Las Vegas. So I don't know if it was like something about being in Las Vegas or if it's always like this, but the creative grooming was like out of this world, unbelievable. So
I think HBO has a creative grooming show coming out, if it hasn't already come out.
Yes, I think so too. I think so.
Yeah, I gotta look into that because that'd be fun to watch. What pet related profession would you never want to try?
The person that someone hires to just come over to your house and pick up poop in your yard.
Pooper scoop, poop scooping service. Yeah, some people have said that before. I mean, yeah, it's enough to bring it in my yard. I agree.
Picking up other dogs' poop, it's just for some reason, I don't know why, it just grosses me out. Like I pick up so much of my own dog's poop, but other dogs, it just grosses me out.
Okay, so I am like super, super anal retentive about poop on my street. Like I walk with my kids every day. I walk my old dog every day. Like it just makes me crazy. So I will pick up dog poop when I see it. And if I'm able to, like, whether it's my house or not. And truly, like, sometimes I'm just like, why is it so much? Like when it's Titans, I don't care. But like, it's a strange dog's poop, especially a big one. And I'm like dry heaving. I'm like, why? Why does it matter?
And it's like the same like consistency. Like it's not really different, but
exactly.
I do the same thing. I don't know why.
So weird. I agree. And then like I imagine that pooper scoopers come like once a month or every 2 weeks. So like there's been poop out there.
Yeah.
For weeks. Oh no, I agree.
No, pass.
I mean, I can do it. If I have to, I'll do it, but I definitely wouldn't sign up, with a smile on my face. All right, last question. This part of the show is called Last Call, and I call it that because at the end of the night, when you've been drinking with your friends for a while, you probably have made friends with strangers, and now it's last call, and you're like sharing your life story with this person sitting across the bar from you. So this question is the reason I call it that, because we're about to get a little introspective. If the Rainbow Bridge exists, who is the first pet to greet you when you arrive?
Ah. That probably would be my dog Lola, who she died probably 3 or 4 years ago. I'm so bad at dates and times and things. But she died like 3 or 4 years ago, and she was 13 and a half. And she did pretty all right until the last month. The last 4 weeks were terrible. But she was such a good girl.
Was she the reason you got into the pet industry? Did she kind of help that happen a little bit?
Probably Lucy. So Lola, I think I would say, this is how I describe it, is Lola is the dog who taught me to love dogs. Lucy is the dog who helped me kind of like take it to the next level. She really taking all the puppy photos. Lola was 9 years old when I got Lucy. So it's kind of interesting that my dogs are 9 now. So I'm always comparing them. I'm like, oh, is Lucy more or less active than Lola was when she was 9? I'm like,
what is more mom than that? Like, that is what moms do for all their kids. Like,
all these
one doing
supplements
this? Was that one doing that?
And like thousands of dollars and hours that I've put into like the optimum care. Is it working? So yeah. And then Bert, obviously he's my first rescue, and he's special needs. He has epilepsy as well, which we didn't mention, but so he's taken me to another next level. So each dog has kind of pushed me further into my obsession, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. So was Lola a chocolate lab as well?
Yeah, Lola was the chocolate lab. And as a matter of fact, my aunt, she is the one who got me into chocolate labs. She had these 2 chocolate labs, and her partner at the time, he was really into like military stuff. And so they got a male dog, and they named him Grenade. And they wanted to get a second dog, so they got a female dog, and they named her Pin. So they were Grenade and Pin.
That's hilarious. I have a Pomeranian Jindo mix that used to be a military working dog. He was the battalion mascot in Korea, and my husband ended up with him by default because nobody else wanted him, and they were returning. And his name is Radar.
Oh.
So I get it. And it's funny, our pet sitter came over the last time I saw our pet sitter, and he was like, was his name Sonar? And I'm like, no, it's Radar, but you're close.
I mean, so my aunt, she had these 2 dogs, and she got really into it, like I am, and I'm not probably going to be a breeder, but she got into that, all the testing, all the stuff. She did a great job. And so she did 2 litters with Grenade and Pin. And a lot of the puppies had military names. There was a Tank in there, which is a good name for a chocolate lab. And I forget what the other ones were, but there was a lot of military names.
That is awesome. Thank you again. Have an awesome weekend. And I will be in touch. I'll share, everything once it's ready to go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I can't wait. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too. Bye.